Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Muhammad Amir Syahmi Muhammad Shukri, and today we present, our group will present about the Murabahah vehicle financial in banking and financial system. Okay, first we go to the introduction. Okay, for the introduction, Murabahah is a sale and purchase agreement between bank and customer, which means Murabahah is a one of contract, or in Arabic we can call a buy Murabahah. That will be purchase agreement between bank and the customer. Okay, Murabahah refer to the purchase and selling transaction where the cost of price of the asset and profit margin have been known by the buyer and agreed by the contracting parties. Besides that, payment of the sale price can be made in the full or in a stage. Okay, Murabahah is a contract between two parties, which is bank will be a seller and customer will be the buyer. Customer is one to, for example, I can give to all of you. Customer want to buy some commodity, and customer go to the bank to make agreements, and the agreement must be agree with both parties, and the bank will buy first the commodity from the supplier and will sell again to the customer with the margin to make a profit. But the margin, which is the cost of the margin of the commodity, the price, the increase must be told to the customer, and the customer agree with that price. Okay, everyone.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am the next presenter. My name is Muhammad Nabil Jad bin Merikan. We go to background. First is the verbal Murabahah definition in the accounting, auditing and governance standard for Islamic financial institution is as follows. Murabahah is defined by fuqaha jurists as sale of goods at cost plus an agreed profit markup. Its characteristic is that the seller should inform the purchaser of the price at which he purchased the product and stipulate an amount of profit in addition to this. Next. The Murabahah Syariah is not questioned by any school of fiqh, as it includes under the law of sale and purchase in general. The majority of fuqaha required by al-Murabahah. Although all the scholars show their agreement in the principle Murabahah as a legitimate and permissive tool in business dealing, yet they disagree about the detail of its implementation, especially from the aspect of pricing and profit rate. Next, aspect of the right to cancel or dissolve the contract. Next, based on the verse of the Quran, the word of Allah in Surah Al-Baqarah, meaning that there is no sin for you to seek the bounty, sustenance of business from your Lord. When you leave Arafah, you should increase the zikrullah in Masjidil Haram, which is Muzdalifah, and remember Him, Allah, as shown to you even before you were among the people who went astray. Okay, based on the above sentence, it contains the necessity to trade and make profit from it. Hence, of the methods of the making profit is to sell more expensive than cost or capital price. Okay, we go to the modus operandi of Murabahah. Okay, Islamic bank as the middle of party, and customer as a customer. Okay, firstly, customer want to buy a goods from supplier, but to make it happen, customer deal with Islamic bank, and Islamic bank deal from suppliers of good and buy anything or goods, and the suppliers sell it into Islamic bank, and then Islamic bank sell again to the customer, which with a new price. Okay, second is modus operandi vehicle financial by Murabahah. Okay, this example from Bank Islam. Okay, I will explain it in English. Okay, first is the bank appoints the customer as its purchasing agent to purchase the vehicle from the distributor. The customer buys a vehicle from the distributor on behalf of the bank. And third, the bank sell the vehicle to the customer based on the Murabahah contract. Customer will pay sale price to the bank on deferred payment. And fourth, the customer pledge the vehicle to the bank as security or collateral.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nasir Hakimi bin Zulkifli. Okay, we go to the next slide. Application in Malaysia. My bank launches My Bank Islamic Berhad. My bank today announced the establishment of its Islamic banking subsidiary, My Bank Islamic Berhad, effective on 1st January 2008. My Bank Islamic focus on three main strategy business group. It is first, the foreign currency business unit, second, Islamic investment banking, and Islamic asset management. This is to continue or to extend its leadership in Islamic banking in Malaysia and practice more effectively in the global Islamic market. My bank is the largest Islamic finance service company in the Asia Pacific regions, and it expected to further extend its leadership with the creation of its Islamic subsidiary. Today, my bank has 12 full Islamic banking branch with the 376 branch and 20 private banking center providing Islamic banking product and service locally. And for your information, now Ibrahim Hassan, currently Chief Executive Officer of Islamic Banking at my bank, has been named as Acting Chief Executive Officer. Next slide, Murabahah vehicle term financing. This is a buy and sell contract between the bank and customer, of which specific Sharia compliant will be identified and used as a underlying asset for the sale and purchase transaction between the customer and the bank for the purpose of availing the fund for the financing. Under this transaction, upon receipt of the customer undertaking to purchase, my bank shall appoint customer as agent to purchase the vehicle from the seller or dealer on bank behalf. The bank shall sell, the customer shall agree to purchase the vehicle on Murabahah basis. Acquisition cost and profit margins. Next slide, eligibility and financing amount. For the category individual monthly income of Ringgit Malaysia 5,000 and above, or joint household income of Ringgit Malaysia 7,000 and above, financing amount is Ringgit Malaysia 15,000 and below. The second category, individual monthly income of Ringgit Malaysia 7,000 and above, or joint household income of 10,000 and above, financing amount between Ringgit Malaysia 15,001 to Ringgit Malaysia 99,999 cents. For the last category, individual monthly income of 10,000 and above, or joint household income of 15,000 and above. For the financing amounts, 100,000 to 200,000 ringgit Malaysia. And for your information, this product Murabahah vehicle term financing in my bank is applicable for Semenanjung Malaysia only, not in Sabah and Sarawak.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Right now, we will go through the modus operandi of the Murabahah that was being applied by the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, BIMB. We will see how the application of the Murabahah was being applied by the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, especially in the vehicle financing product. First and foremost, we will see the history of the Bank Islam. Okay, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, or BIMB, was established on July 1983. It is being established based on principle of Sharia without taking riba, and that's why in the early of the establishment of the Bank Islam, they have their own Act, which is Islamic Financial Service Act, introduced by the Bank Negara Malaysia upon the establishment of the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad also produce Sharia contract product, which is Murabahah, and Murabahah as the method to replace riba. So the establishment of the Murabahah product is as a method to counterback the financial product introduced by the conventional bank, which is a loan product based on the vehicle financing or the home financing product. So the establishment of the Murabahah contract by the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is one of the solution to ensure that there is a product for purchasing vehicle, which is there is no riba in that product. Okay, this is the whole modus operandi of the Murabahah that being applied by the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad in Malaysia, which is the first one. The bank appoints the customer as its purchasing agent, and the second one, the customer purchases the vehicle from the dealer on behalf of the bank. And the third one, bank sells the vehicle to the customer and customer pays monthly installment. And the last one, customer pledges the vehicle to the bank as the security. Okay, this is the whole picture. How was the modus operandi of the Murabahah being applied by Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, which is the first one, customer will approach the Bank Islam and seeking their intention to buy a new car for themselves, and they want to take the Murabahah product as their financial product for purchasing the car. And then the bank will appoint the customer to meet the dealer and make a deal with the dealer of the car to purchase uh, the car. So the customer was being act as the agent for the Bank Islam, will purchase the vehicle from the dealer on the behalf of the bank, because Bank Islam will buy the car from the dealer. The customer is act as the agent only. Okay, and then after the car was being purchased by the Bank Islam, the Bank Islam will sell back the vehicle to the customer, and the customer will pay monthly installment to the Bank Islam. This is when the Bank Islam getting profit from this Murabahah product, which is the Bank Islam will mark up the price of the car by selling the vehicle to the customer, and also the customer will pledge the vehicle to the bank as the security. This is the way for the Bank Islam to ensure that the customer will fulfill their obligation to pay monthly installment.
Okay, everyone. Now we go to the next slide, which is advantage of Murabahah contract vehicle financial. I have made some research about the advantage of a Murabahah vehicle contract, and what I can see in Bank Islam and Maybank Islamic that have some similarity about the advantage of the Murabahah contract that they can offer to the customer. Okay, let me see. First, the advantage is competitive price that we offer to the customer, which is the price that institution of financing or banking offer to customer is very competitive and give some advantage to the customer. And I think you can go and check in the Bank Islam website and Islamic Maybank website to see some of the price that be offered by bank. Okay, second, we can see the selling price of the commodity is fixed and unknown. Okay, sorry, no. Okay, the selling price of the commodity is fixed, which is mean the price of the commodity must fit and must be agree with the both of party, which is the bank or the institution of finance cannot make the selling price of commodity with what they want, but the price of the commodity must fit and known by the customer and must be agree with the both of party. Okay, and second is no high or extra charge imposed. Okay, what we can see in Islamic financial that cannot have no hiding or extra charge in the contract, because as we know, in Islamic financial or Islamic Sharia, it cannot be have the element of the riba. In Al-Quran, Allah said in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275, wahallallahu al-bay' wa harrama riba, which is Allah has permitted sale and buy but prohibited riba, which is in any condition or in any situation that cannot have the extra or hiding charge in the contract, because it will have the element of riba, and that is prohibited in Sharia. Okay, and second, and the lastly is fast approval, which is the customer is can apply and wait for the approval quickly, and no need to wait long, and they can have a commodity very soon. Okay, so this for about the advantage of the Murabahah vehicle financial that apply in the institution of finance or in institution of banking. Okay, so we have discussed about the advantage of the Murabahah vehicle financial, and that's several of the advantage. Okay, now we go to the next slide, which is disadvantage of Murabahah vehicle financial. Okay, we can see there are several disadvantages of the Murabahah contract vehicle financial. Okay, first, this disadvantage, maybe we can also understand the mistaken of the Murabahah contract. Okay, first we can go to assume the Murabahah can be used for all type of the transaction, which is we must know the Murabahah contract only to use to purchase some commodity or any commodity, but if we use the Murabahah contract for other purpose, it will be not permissible, because it's not according to the purpose of the Murabahah contract. Okay. Okay. Second, is document is signed to raise fund for a particular commodity, which is mean these documents of the Murabahah contract signed to raise the funds for the particular commodity, which is the misunderstanding about the tree of the Murabahah contract, that also can be the mistake of the customer made when they sign of the Murabahah contract. Okay, so we see this in some cases, before the commodity is required from the supplier, the sale of the commodity to the client is effected, which is mean in some cases happen the before the commodity that give by the supplier, but the commodity maybe have something problem or some damage that will be effect to the customer. For maybe for example, I can give, like, we want to buy a car, but before the car have some problem, and that problem happen before the car have been given to the customer. Okay, next, we can also see some disadvantage. This is one of the disadvantage of Murabahah contract, which is in some financial institution, it observed that Murabahah is applied to the commodities already purchased. We make the Murabahah contract is to purchase some commodity that the commodity is not owned by other parties but owned by the supplier. So we want to buy, for example, we want to buy a car, first car from the factory, but we buy first the car, after that we make a Murabahah contract. So this type of this mistake or disadvantage of the Murabahah is not permissible in Syariah, because one of the Murabahah pillars is the commodity must not owned by other parties or already purchased, but must purchase by the Murabahah contract.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Haikaluddin bin Muhammad Husli. Okay, we go to the issue rising in Murabahah. The first issue is penalty for default payment. The implementation of the installment or deferred payment for the financing, the Islamic bank will face the problem of default payment by the customer. It will give the bad effect or harm to the Islamic banks. Islamic banks cannot charge the interest to the customer as had been practiced by the conventional bank. So as we know in the Murabahah, the deferred payment is the method of payment that used by the customer to settle their financing with the Islamic bank. So which this method of payment is a very beneficial for the customer that had insufficient money to fulfill their desire to own certain assets, for example vehicle. Okay. However, which the implementations of the deferred payment for the financing, the Islamic bank will face the problem of default payment by the customer. So if this problem is happen, it will give the bad effect or harm to the Islamic bank. For example, the Islamic bank could not able to run their business activity, operation and others which efficiently. So regarding of this problem of the default payment, the Islamic bank cannot charge the interest to the customer as had been practiced by the conventional bank. In the conventional banking, the mechanism in the conventional banking, they will charge the interest to the customer that are unable to pay the loan or the late payment. So as we know that the interests are totally prohibited in Islam based on the Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275. Wa halallahu bai'a wa harama riba. Allah has permitted trading and prohibited riba. So based on this prohibition of the riba or interest, the Islamic bank cannot apply the mechanism that used by the conventional banking that charge interest for default payment, because it will appear the riba that is prohibited in Islam. When the Islamic bank cannot charge the interest to the customer on default payment, the customer will take an advantage that he will not pay the payment on due date because he knew that the Islamic banking cannot charge interest. Okay, next we go to the solution. So since the Islamic banking cannot charge the interest to the customer on default payment, Islamic banking has introduced the Tawid and Goromah concept on the default payment problem. So Tawid is defined as claim for compensation arising from actual loss suffered by the financier, which is Islamic bank, due to the delay in payment of financing amount by the customer. While Goromah defined as a penalty charge imposed for delay in financing settlement without the need to prove the actual loss suffered. Okay, now we look at the permissibility of Ta'wid and Goromah. So first evidence from hadith from Abi Hurairah that Rasulullah SAW said, delay by a rich person in payment of debt is a tyranny. On fi Muslim, which is la dorora wala dirar, neither harming nor reciprocating harm. So harm kat sini dia boleh jadi kepada bank Islam. So apabila bank Islam tidak mendapat duit dia dalam masa yang ditetapkan, ianya akan memberi masalah kepada bank Islam lah, untuk dia punya business activity, operation dan sebagainya. Okay, Sharia Advisory Council in its meeting date 14 February 1998 on 95 meeting date 28 January 2010 and 101 meeting date 20 May 2010. So ni adalah list untuk syarat-syarat yang untuk pastikan Ta'wid and Goromah ni permissible. Okay, first, Ta'wid may be charged on late payment of financial obligation resulted from action contract. For example, sale, lease and court. Ta'wid may only be charged after the settlement date of the financing become due as agreed between both contracting parties. So Ta'wid ini akan dikenakan apabila customer tu default payment ataupun bayar lambat dalam masa yang ditetapkan. So dia berbeza dengan conventional bank, yang mana conventional bank dia akan charge interest tu, dia akan state lah dalam seawal dalam agreement lagi. So itu adalah perbezaan lah. Okay, yang ketiga Islamic financial institution may recognize Ta'wid as income on the basis that it is charged as compensation for actual loss suffered by the institutions. Goromah should not be recognized as income. Instead, it has to be channeled to certain charitable bodies. So hasil daripada Ta'wid tu dia boleh dijadikan sebagai income kepada Islamic bank. Tetapi hasil daripada Goromah tu dia tidak boleh jadikan income, tetapi dia kena channel hasil Goromah tu kepada charitable bodies. Go to the second issue, which is the use interest rate as a benchmark. The Islamic bank had used the interest rate by the conventional benchmark in order to determine the total of markup. Okay, one of the example conventional benchmark that had been used widely is LIBOR, stand for London Interbank Offer Rate. LIBOR ni defined as a benchmark interest rate at which major global bank lend to one another in the international interbank market for short-term loans. So isu ni berkaitan dengan apabila Islamic bank dia menggunakan interest rate tu sebagai benchmark untuk menentukan harga markup tu ataupun keuntungan. So contohnya kalau interest rate tu 6%, so 6% tu akan dijadikan sebagai benchmark untuk Islamic bank untuk menentukan markup kepada dalam sesuatu transaction. So ianya menjadi isu apabila Islamic Bank ni menggunakan interest rate. As we know that interest is one of the prohibited element in Islam. So according to the Usmani, even though the Islamic banking is had used the interest rate benchmark as to determine markup price does not make the transaction is invalid or prohibited. The use of the interest rate is just only as a benchmark. So penggunaan interest rate ini dia tidak menjadikan murabahah ataupun any transaction yang menggunakan interest rate ini sebagai benchmark prohibited ataupun invalid. Sebabnya interest rate ini dijadikan sebagai benchmark ataupun sandaran je. So dianya macam tak menjadikan transaction tu prohibited. Kalaulah macam dalam sesuatu transaction tu ataupun murabahah tu ada interest, tu akan di prohibited lah. Tetapi interest rate ni dijadikan sebagai benchmark saja, bukannya interest ni berada dalam murabahah.
For the conclusion, car finance operation in Islamic bank are based on Islamic law, which vary in spirit, procedure, and practice from the traditional bank. Islamic finance has expanded rapidly and is spreading across many regions. Islamic finance is a highly relevant topic in Malaysia, and the vehicle finance market is among the most developed segment, incorporating a business volume that makes the market entry attractive to several finance corporations. That's all. Thank you.